We can see here that in order to protect the 2x4s, a piece of plastic was put under the 2x4 while the 2x4 was nailed, and then caulking was applied between the plastic sheet and the bottom in order to prevent corrosion, and of course the 2x4 from becoming destroyed with moisture. We can see here the support over the window, how strong it is a 2x6, and when we nail the wall, we need a 15.25 of an inch from the first stud, and then 16 inches from the subsequent studs. We need to leave a gap for expansion, and this is just a detail of how the construction took place. Now the rafters, we just installed them right along, and we were nailing them on the sides, and we had a gap in between, a 16-inch gap in between, and we used that as a support for the rafters. Here we can see a detail of the nailing onto the wall, and of course we had to trim the length of the rafters because they were too long. Again, we're going to be able to see a special detail on how we nailed the pieces onto the side, for the rafters onto the backboard. Things were done mostly with screws, but sometimes we use nails as well. Just another detail. This picture is actually upside down. Where walls and windows were installed, we had two 2x4s nailed side by side for strength. Now at the end of the rafters, we're going to install a plate, a piece of wood, a 2x6 as well, right along, and it's going to be nailed in position. On top of the 2x4s, we're putting the base for the roof. You can see how the pieces are being nailed in position, and right after we have this membrane. There's a plastic membrane for the roof itself. On top of it, the shingles will be installed. We had to remove this aluminum flashing, obviously, so that the roof could go right under, and we are proceeding with the installation of the sheet with the nailer. Now actually stapler. Now we're installing the shingles, and we're using the same process, using a stapler. We scribed a line, and here we are attempting to do this in a nice way. We marked there's a specific knife which is meant for this kind of work. Please take notice of the curve and sharpness of the blade. This is the kind of a knife we can use for tiles, for shingles, I should say, or roof tiles if you want to call them tiles. At the end, we trim to length, and we just keep on adding layer upon layer, layer upon layer, and we scribe lines. We scribe lines on the roof to make sure that they are aligned, because you don't want to have shingles in the roof that are crooked. We put up a piece of this black paper which prevents moisture from traveling, and we are actually securing now the door. We put shims to align it, and of course those shims then are broken, and so that we can have things aligned and straight with the wall using a level. The same with the windows. We put the plate first, and then we secured the windows with screws, using screws all the way around. Again, they are leveled off with shims, and you can see the shims right there just to level off the window and to make them secure. Here we can see that where the doors go, we have a double 2x4 at the end to secure things. You see it right there, the process, how after the wall is built, you nail another 2x4 on the side just to give it strength and rigidity. And now we are putting the insulation, and you can see the electrical already done, and then the plastic on top of the insulation, and on top of the plastic of the vapor barrier, then we secure the wall, like a dry wall or whatever you want to use it. This is a detail of the electrical, how the electrical boxes were installed and secured, and the different wiring was installed and run. Another detail, we had to cut the boxes, the hole for the boxes. This is using a roto zip. But let's suppose you have a box, you've got a wall finished, and you want to install an extra box. Then you have to scribe the lines. And as you can see, the pictures are self-explanatory. Scribe the lines, use a saw to cut the hole. Then you put these plates on the side, which are going to secure the box onto the wall, because you slide them in. You literally, with a set of pliers, secure the box while you bend the plates into place, or I should say the tabs. Here we are using a mesh tape. Mesh tape, you have to make sure you've got plenty of mud on top of it, because otherwise when you're sanding, that tape is going to show. And now we're having the mud.
Look at that board. It's beveled a bit.
Correct.
And so what you're doing here is just building it back up flush again.
Okay.
And this is not critical that you get it smooth or anything, because there's going to be at least one more coat and possibly two more coats on it.
So you say one more coat on top of it?
Yeah, or two more coats of mud. Put
Okay.
another coat of mud on, and then sand it.
Okay.
And then a finish coat.
Here we see when tape is being used that is not the mesh tape, and you do have to apply a layer of mud first before you put that tape on top. Here we see another detail of when we use the mesh, a tool to do the corners. But this is the application. You first put the mud on the wall, then you put the tape, and then you apply 2-3 layers, and you can see the different sizes of spatulas you have to use, and the boxes, the length of the boxes, the length of the spatulas in order to use that. You can put mud inside of the box, inside of this pail, put the pail around you, and then you just pull the tape with mud on top. Once it's dry, here you have the application. You have to sand it and apply a second, third, and fourth layers. And we have the tools for sanding, a pole sander and a hand sander. And this is what we use, the kind of a grit we should use. Here we see the bases for a tub, for a bathtub, and all the installation, all the tubings that are required. This is a vent. When you don't have a vent for the top, you use this kind of vent. And you see the different connections, plumbing connections that are required for this kind of work. I hope we can use this work in the future. And you can see here the drain for the tub. And I hope that this information is helpful to all of us.